say that neither I'm not a rabbi and I'm not even religious. I'm not Jewish in any way or linked in it in any way, but I figured I could title this Rabbi Syyenergy7 because some people can call themselves brother this or pastor that, and you know. So I'm just taking another angle on it, but I'm going to give you a very truthful angle. That's the difference. That's the difference. Now, first, I'm going to say I have an accounting background. Graduated from some pretty good schools and everything like that. Been working in the field a long time. And not exactly an investment background, but I have been, well, I mean, you can't have every kind of background there is. I have a lot of different backgrounds in the financial area. But, I like YouTube because it's very informal. Like right now, I'm just wearing the infamous black t-shirt. Used to wear suits every day since I was 14. 14, yeah, going to school and everything. So, anyway, let me address something first. Because, I put out a lot of, before I get into this, before I get into what I'm going to really talk about, there's a lot of anti-Semitism on YouTube. I know you're sick of hearing that word. I know it gets overplayed, and it's like it backfires when people hear that word too many times. But you know what I'm talking about, against Jews, right? It's like a big Jewish conspiracy that that's the problem for all the world, right? That's what people keep saying. You'll see this on YouTube quite a bit. And YouTube's a free forum. They shouldn't delete videos like that. But I'm going to say I totally disagree with that stuff. Totally. They're being set up as scapegoats. Now I'm going to say this though. God, I think, is going to, it's my personal thing, I think God is going to give the earth to the Jews to run it. That's what's going to happen. Where I think they get set up, this is my personal opinion, is that it's like they try to make it happen by their own works. In other words, it's just going to happen. It's, actually it's going to happen by their own righteousness. And actually I did point out many times, and some people get pissed off, that a lot of Jews are extremely righteous, fair play, social justice, and the whole 9 yards, all the way. They really are. And there's good ones and bad ones, okay? Just put it that way, all right? Real simple. But it's going to happen that way. They're going to own the earth, and they're going to be the most righteous people running the world. But every time where I think they get set up is like there's probably high up establishment people in the religion itself that are telling them all this BS to do this, to do that, and it's by their actions to actually force it that way. That's where they're getting set up, if you get my drift. To just be righteous, it's going to happen. Now, I don't know, there's Jews, righteous Jews for Palestinians, there's people against that, there's, I don't want to get into all this shit, but, when you condemn a whole people, you're freaking wrong. Like if Adolf Hitler had a beef with 50 or 100 Jews on the top that were like really bad, unscrupulous business people that are screwing up Germany, he had no business in condemning the people as a whole or condemning all those small business owners that were very much a part of the German economy in helping it thrive. Really. So I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, because I'm not going to tolerate 30 anti-Jewish comments on my channel. I'll tolerate some of them, but I don't want to hear 30 or 50 comments because go somewhere else. I'm going to warn you right now about that stuff. But anyway, this was from Rabbi Cahn. Rabbi Cahn, actually. It's not my analysis. He says there's 9 harbingers of ancient Israel that are appearing in the USA now. He says there's a big correlation between ancient Israel and the USA today. It's Rabbi Cahn. I'll point to a link where the video is. It's on Pat Robertson's channel. Now, I think there's a major correlation between the United States and ancient Rome. That's how I see it, but I don't know. But anyway, one of the things where they said they're in defiance of God, because God basically did punishment on the United States, is when senators and Obama writes on the beam itself, we will rebuild, we will come back stronger, and all this type of stuff. That's like in defiance of God. Basically, God punished the United States. Now, I know at 911, that stuff didn't come from the outside. I know that. I mean, just for the asbestos in that building, Just for that alone, it would cost more money to take down that building, get rid of the asbestos, than it would be to build a new one. Even that alone was a good reason to blow it up, economically, even though there's people in it. Well, that's what they did anyway. So I don't think it came from the outside. I'm also aware that the smartest elite are very aware of religious things. And they use religion as a tool to control people. I'm saying this, okay? So, these things might have happened on these dates because somebody's making it happen. And then somebody's real religious will say, oh yeah, it happened because it was in the Bible. Because I can tell you one thing. Rome, I'm not sure about what happened before Rome. I think one of the biggest empires before them was like the Seleucid Empire, like thousands of years before it. There's empires in China. They seem not to follow these harbingers of Israel and in the Bible, right? And even Rome, it almost got clobbered by, Carthage and Hannibal and Hasdrubal, right? All right? And it didn't happen because it came back stronger, right? But I'm going to use this as a type of financial advice to you guys. And if you're an anti-Semite, don't be an anti-Semite. I mean, you could be a selective anti-Semite with certain people that rate it. Like you could be selectively against Chuck Schumer, Feinstein, Bloomberg, or something like that. That's fine by me. Don't condemn a whole people ever. Ever. Don't do that stuff. But anyway, the Stone of Judgment was supposedly, this is according to Rabbi Cahn, I'll put the link down in the bottom. And the Stone of Judgment is the fifth harbinger of the biblical Gazette stone, whatever. And I'm not an expert on this, and you can see I'm not an expert on this stuff. And that's like the stone they cut out of New York State someplace, the same dimensions as the biblical stone and everything. They used it to go back into the tower, And they say, yeah, we're coming back stronger. It's like, he calls it a sign where you're defying God. Well, I mean, I don't know. The next thing is, they had a sycamore tree that was struck by a shock wave from 9/11, right? That was another thing that happened in the Bible before. And, a lot of people, what they do is they replaced it with a conifer type tree, which is a sign that they're defying God. And that's called the Tree of Hope. And 2 years later, despite all the best efforts, the Tree of Hope is dying. They should put some Lavorsky rings around it or something, And then he talks about every 7 years there's a Shemitah, which is like this big economic, you just write everything off. All the books go back to zero. And if you obey God's law, everything comes back and flourishes. If you don't pay back God's law, your books go to zero and then you go more in debt. That's kind of like how he explained it and how I understand it. So, on the Jewish calendar, the Hebrew calendar, 911, September 11, 2001, was one of the days. Which also coincides with the 11 years from George Bush's original New World Order speech he had in 1990 in September. And with September 1990 to 2001 was 11 years. And from 11 years, like there's two different things going on here. Maybe there is something with the good and the evil going on here. And then from 2001, September, to September 2012 was 11 years. That was also when we had the Benghazi event, which happened right on 9/11. 9/11. Both times, the George Bush speech was 9/11, 2000. Not related to what the rabbis said, but something I'm throwing in here. The George Bush New World Order speech was 9/11, 2000. And then 11 years later, 9/11, 2001 was, 9/11, 1990 was the George Bush speech, New World Order. And then 9/11, 2001 was the Twin Towers coming down. In 9/11, 2012, 11 years later, on a Tuesday, these are all Tuesdays, the day of Mars, God of Mars, and even if you take Northern European mythology. It was still Mars. It's still not Mars, but it has to do with the god of war. Was Benghazi, and when Christopher Stevens was killed. You could say it was on the 12th, but it was actually initiated on the 11th. But he's talking about the 7-year Shemitah, which is actually something else that's coinciding with this. 9/11/2001 was one of them. When all the books get wiped clean. Actually, there was a pullback then, but not a severe pullback economically, but it did upset the markets, especially the airline stocks. And then 9/29/2008 was the 7 years later on the Hebrew calendar. That, and I remember this from inside information, there almost was a serious collapse then. They just avoided it by the skin of their teeth, because in the money markets they had to transfer a whole pile of money in the background behind the scenes, or else there would have been a major collapse. I forgot the details on it, but I got it from some pretty inside sources, and a guy that actually heads a major boutique investment firm that is in South Florida, in Jupiter, that deals with high-end people. He told me this shit. He told me some other wild shit too, man. But anyway, 7 years on the Hebrew calendar. The next time is 9/13/2015. That is expected, possibly global collapse, 9/13/15, which also occurs on the 4th blood moon of the Tetrad. It's like Tetrad. I guess there's 4 blood moons from 2014 to 2015. The first one, I think it's on April 2014. And you got 2, then 3, then there's one, the second one, third one, then the fourth one is on 9/13/2015, which is 7 years on Hebrew calendar after 9/29/2008, when we had the economic collapse. That really is a point, because you can think about, I knew on 9/29, that is a big date. You might be thinking about the stock market, you might be thinking about the price of silver, you might be thinking about the price of oil, but I know on that date, they just avoided a major collapse in the money markets. They had infused all kinds of money overnight, or else there would have been. That I know. That's why I looked at that date and I says, I know he's not BSing around that date. That is the exact date. So he has it on 9/13/2015. Now, does that mean silver's going to pull back on that date? It could pull back before that, but something severe is going to happen. See, where I'm also thinking is, every 3 years, I'm using plain common sense here. I'm not even freaking getting really technical. But every 3 years, it looks like silver has a wave up. That's what it does. Gold and silver and everything. It's like 2005. 2008. I know it crashed in 2008, but it was a peak in 2008. 2011 was up, and then it crashed. 2014, and then that's where I'm thinking the Fibonacci point. Do not ignore the Fibonacci, because Fibonacci is the laws of nature. You don't disagree with the laws of nature. You can micromanage the laws of nature too much and be wrong. Like try to read Fibonacci like on an hourly basis too much or something, but it's probably that 72 to 75 is going to be a good Fibonacci point for 2014. I'm guessing, but I think that's it. All right. Pull back below 50 sometime in 2015. May not be on, 9/13/2015, but something catastrophic is going to happen on that date, and things are going to happen before and after that too. It's not like the whole thing's going to happen exactly on that date, just like 9/29/2008 is not the exact date where every single thing collapsed at the same time. But that was a very important date, and I know that for a fact because of what I was told by this guy that runs this whole place, where he just deals with very, high-end clients and stuff. Now, I'm talking real plain on here. I'm going to tell you again, man, I can make double what I make on YouTube in a day in an hour doing accounting, okay? So I ain't doing this for me. I kind of enjoy it. I figured maybe it's going to make money because, that's just how things are. You never know. But I'm not going to actually concentrate too much on the investment area, because People in the investment area are just looking to be greedy. They're want to make a fast buck, and they'll blow it anyway. You can make money anyway just by not blowing it on BS. I've been pointing that out too a few times. And if you got a lot of money, your family's going to steal it from you one way or the other, including your wife. Okay, so or whatever. It's one of those people who do it. So anyway, I'm going to actually probably concentrate more on health and healing, things that fell through the cracks over the years, and I got a lot more up my sleeve on that. But anyway, the fourth blood moon, talking about astrology and the blood moons, and somebody's mentioned about that. That'll be the fourth blood moon of the Tetrad, and 9/13/2015. So here's what I expect. It's kind of like, I could be wrong about 2017 being the ultimate hike, but it may be it. It may be it, because there's this big collapse. Silver pulls back and goes below 50. In 2015 sometime, after reaching 72 to 75 in 2014. And what happens? Everybody's going to be really scared of the global markets. Maybe it's going to go way the hell up in 2017, maybe to 150 or something, $200. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. But since I don't know, that's why I do things in pieces. Anyway, just watch out. Don't condemn a whole people if the globe collapses and they'll say it's the Zionists doing it or something, because, Zionist just means you want to establish Israel and protect Israel. Big deal. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll protect Israel too. Somebody wants to do harm to Israel just for the hell of it because they don't like Israel, I'll protect them. That's just how it is. I will. So, nothing wrong with that. Does that make me a Zionist? I don't know. Who the hell knows? I really don't care about the labels. Just watch when you condemn a whole people over stuff, because they're being used as scapegoats, and even the stuff they're being told by some of their leaders is probably setting them up. Because God's going to give them the earth. God's going to give them the earth. Just by them being righteous. And a lot of them are very righteous. That's a fact. So, but like I said, I'm not going to tolerate 30 or 40 or 50 comments against Jews on my channel, because I'm pretty open on this stuff. But damn it, man, I ain't got all day to be messing with this shit, because to tell you the truth, I can make double in an hour what I make on here in a day, easy. All right. So I ain't walking around with a suit or nothing like. I've been wearing suits since I was 14. All right. So I'm wearing a t-shirt, okay? Just want to point that out. But I'm giving you the straight scoop. And the thing is, I ain't Karnak the magician, so I could be wrong about this. All right? I'll say that. But all you guys that out there that said, oh, silver's going to 10, silver's going to 8. Oh, hold off. Don't buy anything. Well, guess what? You jerks screwed up big time, because I call that financial advice, because it don't look like it's going down there no more. Does it? Just leave you with that.